right, it's Monday. We're going to get the week started off right. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope your weekend was, as always, I hope it was great. We got through, boy. I'll say this. I'm glad April's here. I'll just say that. I'm glad it's here. We're going to conclude Scrimmage, football Scrimmage. It's going to be over with here in a couple of weeks. And don't forget, they're going to have the open scrimmage on the 13th. If you guys weren't there on Saturday, listen, there was a lot there. There's plenty of footage. I was roaming the sidelines. It was pretty, not as many people there as I thought there would be. But considering, the U of A really didn't hype this up more than just a glorified practice for them on Saturday. So the real deal is going to be the 13th. And I highly recommend that you go. No idea what the attendance is going to look like. But, yeah. So you can see the list of what we're going to talk about right here, right there on the screen. Below the Tusk Talk, like and share and all that stuff on the right there. Below is our sponsors on the bottom. Shout out to Patreon supporters. You guys help make this thing go. You already know how I feel about the algorithm here on YouTube. It is not doing me any favors. So again, Patreon has really helped out with that. What YouTube ad revenue, where it's gone basically for me, Patreon has come through big time. So double check, make sure you're a subscriber. That way, you know what's up. I did not get did I do a post scrimmage for Patreon? I don't think I did, and I apologize if I didn't. The weekend was wild. Easter weekend was wild. So I do apologize if I don't remember if I got that out or not. I recorded it. I just don't think I published it, or if I did publish it, I never got a notification that I did. So anyways, I've been doing a pretty good job of staying on top of that, making sure Patreon supporters get the first response. Based on what I'm seeing in practice, because that was an open scrimmage, and I knew we were going to talk about it sooner than later anyways. I thought about doing a Discord reaction, but decided against it again because my weekend it ended up being crazier than I thought it would be, and, it's just part of it. It's part of it, man. Hope you guys had a good Easter. I know your kids probably got a lot of candy, a lot of sugar. I know mine did. Feel free, ask questions, comment away. Let's get can I do 4 options on the poll here? I know we said we could do 3. Yeah, we can. We can do 4. So, who's going to win the national title? Who wins it all? We've got NC State has advanced. I know this isn't a topic, but come on. It's the big one, right? Purdue is in there. Who's our other 2? Why am I blanking on that? I know why, because my mind hasn't really been on it hasn't been on basketball. Alabama and UConn. That's right. I knew that. UConn, Bama. Who wins it all? There's the poll. Vote away. No hogs don't care. I know it is. Yeah, in my mind's been on football without a doubt. So feel free. I am Bruce says Bama is my pick. I'm also hoping to see Burns, NC State puts the hurting on Purdue. Yeah. I know. Part of me wants Purdue. A part of me wants Purdue to win the whole thing because it's like, I don't know. It's like that feather in your cap. Like, yeah, the season was a catastrophe, but you still beat Purdue in a game that didn't matter. But you still beat them. You got something. You beat Duke, and they went pretty far in the tournament. If Alabama wins, we will never hear the end of it. We will never, ever hear the end of it. Is Nate Oates the best coach in the SEC? I feel like, I don't know. I know Hog fans just shriek at the thought of that being the case. But over the last 5 years, He's been pretty consistent, and now he's in the Final Four. I'll say this much: if he makes a national title game, I don't think there's any doubt. If he just gets Bama, if he gets past one-seeded UConn to advance and play who I think will end up being Purdue, could you imagine, though, NC State, the 11 seed, winning it all? I am rooting for NC State, make no mistake about it. But I do kind of want Purdue to win it, again, because it's that feather in your cap. Like, yeah, it was a shitty season, but, we did beat Duke, who went far, and we did beat Purdue. So it's kind of like I'm basically rooting for anybody but Alabama, really, is what it is. I don't want that. Don't tell Blake Lovell I said that, but yeah. Purdue is favored currently over NC State at 8.5. That's according to the spread on ESPN. UConn favored at almost 12 points over Alabama. UConn does look for real. That's going to be an interesting game. The over-under's 161.5, and then for Purdue and NC State's 145. Pretty different parallels there, right? You got offense and defense on two different brackets there, or two different games. So yeah. Congrats to those teams, though, as much as you just hate to admit it. Bama was just clearly they're a good team. I wasn't buying into them early on. I was all in on Tennessee and Arkansas, of course, before the season started. So I guess it just kind of is what it is. Remember, if you guys have any questions or comments, fire away. Please like this show, share the content, and if you're new here, I know the odds are you're watching this, you're a subscriber. Again, YouTube is not. They are no longer pushing my content to unsubscribers like they were. I can see it in the analytics. So the only way we can combat the algorithm together, guys, is a small independent channel. Okay? The only way we could battle this thing together is if you're sharing the content on socials and with friends and families and group chats, whatever. Please get it out there. Don't forget Patreon supporters. I don't know if it's too late or not. I don't ever know. I think you still have a chance. Don't quote me on this. I think if you sign up for Patreon before the 4th, maybe, or the 3rd, you will still count towards the month of the previous month. I don't know. If it's too late, I apologize. Don't quote me on it. Make sure you read everything on Patreon if you're thinking about it. But yeah, we're going to be giving this away, the Treylon Burks autographed card. Next month, I've already got it. I've already got the card. This is a big one. I don't know if I've introduced this card here on YouTube or not. But next month, so that'll be for people who are subscribed for the month of April. We're doing this one. R.I.P. Alex Collins. Alex Collins will be a part of the Patreon giveaway for Legendary Status members for the month of April. So if you're subscribed, let's say you do subscribe and for whatever reason, well, I mean, we know the reason it'd be because you're too late, but it doesn't count you towards last month, but you want a shot at this autographed Alex Collins card, you got to be Legendary Status, okay? You got to be Legendary Status, just like for the Treylon Burks autographed card. Sign up, and you'll have a shot at Alex Collins. I think we're also going to give away. Oh, I also got. We have a parent in our Discord of former Razorback baseball or former Arkansas player Patrick Wicklander, and I got a whole bunch of Patrick Wicklander cards, so we're going to make those a part of giveaways. I know we got some Wick fans. How about that, baby? We're going to give away some Wicklander cards. I'm hoping to get some more cards. That's from his dad, who's in our Discord. Got a couple of parents in our Discord. Get parents in my DMs from time to time. Shout out to them all. Appreciate you guys for watching. Which big man will perform the best? Anyone could win if you ask me. Edie's dropping 30 for the whole tourney. Yeah. Or the fact that he yeah, I mean, he's playing lights out. Not to sound like sour grapes, but a majority of Edie's points come from the foul line. Props to hitting your free throws, but that's like basic basketball fundamentals in my opinion. Yeah, and the other side of it too, though, I improve is that he's getting there, that he's drawing fouls, and it's natural given who he is. But the fact that he's getting there and he's awesome, like that's something you can't underestimate, especially in the college game, is getting to the free throw line. You cannot underestimate the ability to get to the free throw line. It's one of the things that made J.D. Notae great. It's one of the things that made Battle great this year. getting and drawing contact fouls. Remember how pivotal Chris Likes was, even though he didn't turn out to be the kind of player we thought he was going to be? But you remember how pivotal he was kind of early in his time at Arkansas, getting to the free throw line? That in and of itself is pretty impressive. I hear you, sour grapes. I know. You're right, Uncle Ty. Oh, thanks for being here, though. Again, make sure you guys like, share, and for anyone who hasn't yet, all 5 of you who are not subscribers, make sure you hit the subscribe button. So we have our Ty's been doing this since 1969. What? What are you talking about? Discord's wild, bro. All right. Shout out again to, of course, you, the Patreon supporter, and to you, the casual viewer, but especially the people who are supporting the channel financially, including the Odd Soul Crap Bar and Pizzeria on Emma Street in Springdale. Maybe you're coming to town for a baseball game, baby. Stop by the Odd Soul. Tell them Ty sent you. We have their menu, by the way, in our Discord. The Odd Soul's a staple on Emma Street and in Springdale. Fantastic IPAs, great pies. They've got it all, man. Great staff, great place to watch a game, or great place to unwind after watching Razorback baseball, beat somebody. It's a great place to do it. The Odd Soul, Crap Bar and Pizzeria on Emma Street in Springdale. And, of course, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They operate out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. They offer same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results. Give them a call at 501-244-3667. Same-day services, quality parts. They'll come out and give you a free estimate as well. They've got their own Discord page as well in Tusk Talk with Ty Discord. All right. Yeah, it's hard to care about the NCAA tournament when your team's not in it. I get it, but it's been I've kept up with a little bit of it. I still try to watch. I've been bullying you for this. You've been all over me about this live. I was exhausted on Saturday, man. I'm not going to lie. I was dead tired. On Tuesday, so we're going to report back. The media is going to be back at 8:25 for practice. What number is that? Is that 8? Whatever. We're going to be there on Tuesday. My God, this thing's flying by. And we get here we go. Media availability. I just got it from the SID. Here we go. So, yeah, Tuesday, 8:25. We'll be there. We get Coach Petrino. It says 10:45. That really should be 10:45-ish because these practices, they've been going a little bit later. But we're going to get Petrino. Now, I'm going to be on the Zoom. I don't ever go to the media room. I want to get home, download the video, upload it to YouTube if I choose to. I don't do it for all of them. I'm definitely going to want to record this one, so I will not be there to ask questions. I know you guys are always like, why don't you ask a question? No, because they don't take Zoom in questions for Zoom, for people who are on, for media people who are on Zoom. Now, they will during the season. That's different. They'll have Zoom only, and I have asked a couple of questions last year. I asked my first 2 questions. It's pretty cool. Pretty great moment. First, Hogs Plus, the Duke, the video they put out for the Duke game. They used my voice, which was really cool. And then I got to ask some actual questions to Sam Pittman. Yeah, 23 was pretty fun, man. 2023 was pretty fun. So, and then we conclude the week's worth of the 2 days of practice that we get on Thursday, April 4th, again, 8:25, same thing. And then Saturday, April 6th, again, is open to the public. It's in the stadium. So, again, if you missed the last one and maybe you can't make the final, the red-white scrimmage, on the 13th, you get an opportunity on the 6th. At 10:25, oh, that's a little bit later. Okay, good. Don't have to wake up at like 7:30. So 10:25 a.m. is the practice viewing. Sweet. Could sleep into like 9 a.m. if my kids let me. So, yeah. And we're going to get Coach Fountain on that one. On Thursday, we're going to get Coach Williams for the for the media to talk to. No, doesn't look like any student athletes this week. All right. First up on the agenda, how about former Razorback Jake Bates? Did you guys see this? I know you probably did. If you didn't, this is incredible. Jake Bates, former Razorback, kicks a 64-yard game-winning field goal. Pretty incredible. He's been all over the place. He's been all over the place. He was on Pat McAfee's show today. This is an article. Who is this? I don't know. Oh, Detroit Free Press. This is from Jared Ramsey, the Detroit Free Press. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the part that matters here. The Michigan Panthers kicker, who had not made a field goal in an organized football game since his high school days in Texas, showed no nerves on his first field goal attempt despite the magnitude of the situation and distance in front of him. Bates trotted to midfield Saturday at Ford Field with 8 seconds left in the Michigan Panthers United Football League opener against the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Panthers trailed 16-15 after allowing a touchdown and go-ahead one-point conversion with 49 seconds left. The offense, led by quarterback E.J. Perry, moved the ball down to their 46-yard line with 8 seconds remaining before sending out the kicking. Before sending out the website, like bobbing up and down on me. Before sending out the kicking team for a 64-yard field goal attempt, Bates went through his usual routine and drilled the longest field goal in the UFL's short history. But St. Louis had called a timeout. Bates paid no attention and repeated the kick on the second try, easily making it from 64 again to give the Panthers the 18-16 win in the home opener in Detroit. How about some press? Huh? For the United Football League. For the UFL. Listen, you're on McAfee's show, and you know they're going to talk football wherever they can. Now, for those of you who are like, wait a minute, Bates, he sounds familiar. I already mentioned it. He is a former Razorback. In 2022, his last stint in college, he was a transfer. In 2022, as a senior, he earned first-team All-SEC honors from the league's coaches as a kickoff specialist in his lone season at Arkansas, led the SEC and finished fourth nationally with an average of 64.47 yards per kickoff, thanks to the SEC's best, and third nationally, 64 touchbacks. Led all FBS in touchback percentage with 64 of his 75 kickoffs, resulting in a touchback for a percentage of 85.3. Attempted one onside kick, recovering it against Alabama on October 1st. Again, that was during the 2022 season. You could have two. I mean, I don't know how this works with free agency in the NFL. I'm assuming as soon as this season's over for the league that he's in now, he can just go sign somewhere in the NFL. You know they're going to offer him, a standard kicker's salary if they choose to do so. 64 yards twice, almost like he wasn't even batting an eye. That's insane. So congrats to Jake Bates, man. That's awesome. What an honor, huh? A little bit of publicity there. Nothing wrong with it. Let's see. Trying to scroll up here. Yeah, he's drawing them. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Nope. Trying to get caught up. Big L. What's up, man? Woo Pig, how you doing? Yo, Coach LMAO. What's that all about, Camo? What are you talking about? Don't forget, we got the poll. You guys, man, overwhelmingly, you guys have UConn winning this whole thing. Overwhelmingly. 64% at the moment. NC State at 19%. The 11 seed, NC State. All right. This is, I don't even know why I put it in the notes, to be honest with you, or put it on the panel, but Steve Wiltfong has left. If you don't know who he is, he's been the He's been the magic maker over for 247. Usually if you get fonged, that sounds not good, but if you get fonged, you've heard that saying, that's from him, Steve Wiltfong. If he put in a crystal ball, it was likely to happen. He's missed. I mean, he's not perfect. Nobody is. Really good numbers as far as his predictions, if I remember correctly. I don't know what they actually ended up being at 247, but he has left, and this is not an April Fool's joke. Steve Wiltfong has left for left for On 3 Sports. He's there, unless he's in on the joke. I mean, his whole profile, it's all On 3 stuff. I can't see 247 being very fond of that. I don't think this was an April Fool's joke at all. If it was, wow. Unless 247's like buying out On 3 or something. I don't know. Crazy. So no more Wiltfong at 247. He's at On 3. He's worth a follow on Twitter. Of course, he's connected. Very well connected. What'd you guys think of the LSU series? Give me your thoughts. What'd you think? Were you a little nervous there for a little bit? Hearing Coach Bobby Petrino yell at practice feels like Dad really did just go get milk and see. Oh my God. Oh man. Oh no. Yeah. He came back after all. Oh goodness. How do you feel about the UFL, Ty? I really, yeah. I mean, if they're on, I'll watch them. I'm gonna be real with you. If it's not college, or pro, I'm just not really gonna. And that's nothing against those guys. Congrats to them for making it somewhere. But it really feels like he went and got his his milk and cigarettes after all. He came back. I love the Memphis Showboats. That's who Alex Collins played for last year before. My buddy Jonathan Adams' son, Jay Adams from Jonesboro, plays for them now. Jumpmaster Scott, what's going on, man? Hey, gang, keep slinging that hog. 411, Ty, great stuff, man. Appreciate you, Jumpmaster. Hope you're doing well. Again, if you're popping in, don't forget, take the poll. Who wins it all? NC State, Purdue, UConn. Oh, man. I got to shake that one off. First question. Camo's on one. I don't know, man. All right, so LSU, that game or that comment shook me there a little bit. LSU, Arkansas gets the sweep. I didn't think they would do it, but they did it. Arkansas got the sweep. How about that? Peyton Stovall, God, he's hitting that ball, isn't he? You think his average? You think he was batting above 400? He had a good weekend. He had one. Let's see. I'm gonna go back here. Stovall in game 1 had just one RBI. One RBI in game 2, and then he had the 3. So he ended up with 5 RBIs over the weekend. That's not bad at all. But Arkansas, not too shabby. I mean, I don't think anybody should drop. If you're going to Baum Stadium, what was the attendance over the weekend? Wasn't it like 30, 32, 31, 32,000? Whatever the number is, it's in the 30s. When LSU comes to town and Arkansas is halfway decent or better, they're going to show up. They're going to be loud. It's LSU. That's an actual baseball rivalry. I would argue it's underrated to the rest of college baseball, but in the SEC, I think folks who pay attention know that when these two teams play, it's for real. I mean, yeah, they're all for real, especially now that you're in conference play, but when LSU and Arkansas plays and they're both top 10, it's like two Goliaths colliding. One of them happens to smell like corn dogs, but whatever. We're not judging. Yeah. So, Arkansas sent LSU home packing with no wins. They couldn't get one. They couldn't get a single dub against Arkansas thanks to Stovall. Diggs was pretty decent. They had a really good weekend. I mean, and their timely hitting was good. And by the way, people are complaining about their hitting. Lately, it's coming on. I'm with you that I don't think they're getting on base enough. Their on base numbers are not reflective of the number one team in the country. They're just not. I was looking at them this morning. Their overall hitting numbers are not reflective overall in the season. But you look at it now, lately, they're doing a much better job. Game 1, they had 10 hits. All right, and they're getting on base, which matters. They had 9 hits in Game 2. And in Game 3, they had 9 hits. So they're averaging 9 hits against LSU, who's a pretty decent. You know, they've got a pretty good bullpen, pretty good starting pitching. They're not half bad. Their ERA numbers are not bad. This is a pretty good LSU team. And you're getting about 9-10 hits a game. That's not bad. Again, the on-base stuff and leaving guys stranded, but that's going to happen. But I think lately, and like I said last week, they're doing a better job of getting guys on base. Base running is they're still a little bit challenged. Their base running sometimes is, I don't want to say it's like their kryptonite, but it could be better. But they're hitting the ball better lately, and it's nice that they're doing that in SEC play, whereas we've seen it years before where, you know, in non-conference, their first however many games before they enter conference, they're hitting the hell out of the ball, and then they hit the SEC, and they're getting like 5-6 hits a game. They're not getting guys in position. They're not getting runners in scoring position, the old RISP. They're not moving bases, and they're struggling to rack up runs, and they're struggling to string together hits. That seems to be like the more common complaint for Arkansas teams over the last several years. And now, this year, so far at this point, we've seen them kind of turn it around at the plate. It's very good. The one thing that has mattered the most, I think the outfield, they're still trying to get things figured out. The one thing that has mattered the most is their infield is coming along. I don't think they committed a single error all weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they commit a single error? I don't think they did. But the thing that has stayed and remained consistent has been the bullpen. It's been pitching. Tiger, you don't know, and I've said this before. You just don't know what you're getting out of him. They move him to day 3. I kind of wonder what his future looks like from here on out as a day 3 guy, or what they do with him. But yeah, Tiger, who pitched 4 innings in that third game and gave up 4 earned runs, 5 hits. He only had 3 strikeouts versus 16 batters. Cody Frank came in, pitched 3 innings. Gave up just 2 hits, 1 earned run. We finally got to see Hunter Dietz. How do you pronounce his last name? It's spelled Diet Z. Is it Dietz or whatever? Hunter. We're just going to call him Hunter, the guy everyone's been waiting on. He got to pitch a little bit, and then Will McIntyre, of course, did his thing. McIntyre is looked the part, and I think he's looked exactly how Hog fans thought he would. Mason Molina in Game 2 did give up 7 hits, but he pitched 5 innings, faced 21 batters, gave up just 3 earned runs. That's still a little north of probably where he wants to be. 3 walks. Not a great game for Molina, but not a terrible one. You don't like the 7 hits. And then Hagen Smith, Game 1, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 10 strikeouts. Faced 23 batters. Will McIntyre pitched 2.2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs. So, yeah, a couple walks there. Just 2 walks given up in Game 1. Yeah, so if they continue on this path with elite pitching, I looked at the numbers today. Now, they don't have the RPIs updated, but they do have the rankings. I'm pretty sure these were updated today. Team ERA, Arkansas's at 2.67, which is first in the country. Strikeouts per 9 innings, they're at 13, by the way, which is crazy. I mean, if they keep that up, oh, my God. I mean, and if your hitting remains about where it's at and you're pitching like this, guys, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them lose very many games. I'll just say that. But, 13 strikeouts per 9 innings, which, again, is first. Team batting average, .279. Again, that's just not reflective of the number one team in the country. They're hitting – it's just not – overall on the year is not where you would think it would be. Lately, it has gotten better, but right now they're ranked 140th in team batting average. The OBS, they're at .402, which is 80th. Home runs, they're 63rd in the country with 37, and slugging percentage, they're at 96th at .468. New rankings are out. I actually have them on screen this time. Arkansas is ranked number 1. Clemson at number 2. A&M, who I thought would hit a wall, kind of like Ole Miss in basketball. Remember I said they're going to hit a wall once they hit a conference play, and they did. They hit a wall. And I thought A&M would do something similar in baseball. Again, I was talking about Ole Miss basketball. In baseball, I thought, well, A&M got out to that 17-0, start, undefeated into conference play, if I remember that right. And they're still chugging along. They're at fourth or third overall. Tennessee's at 4th. Oregon State back up to 5th. Florida at 6th. Vanderbilt at 7th. Dallas Baptist at 8. Duke at 9. North Carolina at 10. Boy, that's weird. You think we're talking basketball. Virginia Tech at 11. Alabama's at 13th. LSU dropped all the way back to 8. They dropped 10 spots, right? They were 8th according to D1. They dropped 10 spots after getting shut out against Arkansas. Considering where they're at overall in their conference record, they're probably lucky to still be ranked, to be honest. Who else is in there out of the SEC? South Carolina's moved up to 22. Mississippi State, 23. UCF has broke into the top 25. They are 25th. All right, there you go. There's your baseball. All right, let's see. Just get on base. That's all I care about, man. Going for the homer every swing is only going to get you so far. I'm glad we're kind of getting away from the analytic wave. Yeah, on base on base and slugging, those are the numbers that do matter. But I always want to talk about, your batting average, because I do think that still matters. All right, Arkansas basketball. They got Josh Cohen. I'm a little late on this one, but they did get Josh Cohen. This will be his 6th season. His 6th season. This guy is like 28 years old. All right, I'm kidding. He's not 28, but I don't know. What is he? He's probably at least 22. 6'10", 220 pounds. He averaged almost 16 points a game at UMass. 7 boards, almost 2 assists, 54% shooter. We've talked about him. Patreon supporters knew all about this guy. We talked about him last week or week before last. I don't know. He's been a topic of conversation in Patreon chat for a little bit. We posted his numbers last week. Kind of felt pretty good that Arkansas was going to get him, and they did. It's a big get. Apparently he had a lot of interest from a number of schools. But again, Josh Cohen, 6'10", 220. I don't know, like when you look at his numbers, he had 5 double-doubles and 4 double-digit rebounding games. They had another cat on their team, Cross. He's a 6'7" forward whose numbers were a little bit better. Is Cohen a space taker? How aggressive is he when he's playing down and around the rim? Is he going to float around 14, 15 out to try and knock down a jump shot? Or is he going to be there to attack the boards? Is he going to try and make some effort at getting some rebounds, getting some offensive boards? What is his role on this roster? Now, we still have a lot of questions because we still don't know what's going on with several guys that are still currently on roster, right? Right now, it's Khalif Battle, Elohim, who I am really excited about, Isaiah Elohim. Elo is hopefully him. See what I did there. 6'5", 190-pound guard. Tremont Mark, we don't know what he's doing. Another 6'6" guy. You love the length of these guards, man. If you can get these guys to come back, 6'5", 6'6". Elohim is 6'5". I swear I remember him being reported at 6'6", but I think he's still at 6'5", according to Arkansas's website. And then, of course, you got Brazil, 6'10", 220-ish. Does he come back? I definitely believe he needs to come back somewhere if it's not Arkansas. I know some people are ready to ask him to move along. I'm not one of them. I want Brazil back. And then so you'll have Cohen down there at 6'10", 220. Bayfall, 6'11", 200 pounds, needs to tack on some weight. And then you've got Jalen Shelley, who's a 6'8", 190-pound forward. Players that are not eligible, if you're curious, and again, I already have had someone ask me, Chandler Lawson, Jalen Graham, Mekhi Mitchell, L. Ellis, and Davenport are all out of eligibility. The newcomers so far are Elohim, Shelley, and Cohen. We'll see how this fills out. There's a number of names. Again, we're talking about them in Patreon. Those guys, if you're a Patreon supporter and you're in our Discord, you need to keep up with that. We got a couple of guys that are all over it. 2 or 3 people, actually, that are all over it. They're talking, keeping that conversation going about each of these players. I'm going to try and get that updated. We have a number of new offers, by the way. I had this sent to me just a couple days ago. Looks like they offered, let me see here, Frankie Collins out of Arizona State, Darren Boyd, who's out of Lipscomb, Mike James out of Louisville, B.J. Freeman out of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Zeke Mayo out of South Dakota State, DJ Davis out of Butler. The list just goes on and on. I think they offered a couple of JUCO players. The list is insane, but this is normal for Muss. I know they had offered, and I don't know if he's committed somewhere, Keyshawn Hall. I like Keyshawn Hall. I like him a lot. His name came up, and a while back, I was already watching what I could find on him on YouTube. Keyshawn Hall might be pretty exciting. Who's the other name? There's so many players. Yeah, we got a little ways to go. We'll see if Arkansas. We'll see what this looks like. It sounds like the Muss drama is over with. Shocker. It looks like he's going to be back. Well, some folks were they were telling me it's a done deal. It's a done deal, Ty. Musselman's going to Louisville. Oh, is he? Really? You sure? I said it would surprise me if he left for Louisville. Wouldn't shock me if he left, especially with the West Coast stuff. But the USC job opened up and there was concern there. But it looks pretty so far like Musselman's gonna at least be back. So, and it's pretty clear they're being aggressive in the portal, and that doesn't mean, people who are like, well, call it off. He's coming back. Look at all these offers. Guys, he'd be doing that even if he was realistically taking an offer from another school. You don't think, come on. In this day and age, it happens. It's what you're supposed to do, right? You keep in contact. You're going to offer these guys even if you're at another school. You still got a job to do, right? I'm not saying he'd be doing something illegal. I'm just saying he would still be out recruiting for Arkansas even if he were talking to another school. Yeah. So we'll see if they get another commitment here soon. But again, Battle, Elohim, Mark, Brazil, Cohen, Fall, and Shelley are that's who you have currently on your roster. So they got some work to do, but that's not surprising because that's the case every year. Louisville and SMU can stick it. The SMU stuff was wild. I just could not see him. I get it. SMU well connected. They got money. We know all about what happened in the 80s and the Pony Express and all that. 6 years in college, still ain't made it at 6'10". It's his camo gang. There's that optimism. There it is. Where's our poll at? Where are we at? What are we doing? We're still at 64% on UConn. So again, if you just hopped in here, take the poll. Who wins it all? NC State, Purdue, UConn, or Bama? Bama is at the lowest at 5%, but NC State's at the second highest at 21%. It comes down to matchups, though, right? Michael Kerper says LSU will be unranked when they go 1-2 at home against Vandy this weekend. Yeah, I got to turn around and play Vandy. That's never easy. Steve says pulling for NC State. Me too, baby. Me too. Wolfpack, let's go, NC State. All right. Man. Moving along. Yeah, so LSU, we didn't really put a I'm sorry, not LSU. I was thinking about LSU. I was switching in my head from LSU baseball to basketball. But yeah, so let me pull this down here. No. All right. And if there's a commitment, I used to go live, to have a reaction as soon as somebody committed. I haven't been able to do that lately. I'd like to do that again, do some reaction stuff for you guys. Scrimmage reaction. I know this is what Paul wants to talk about, what a number of people are curious about. What did I see? What did you guys see? If you were there, I'd love to know. If you've watched the highlights that are uploaded all across YouTube, I think I posted something on Saturday. Tell me what you thought. I'd love to know. Give me your feedback, whether you're watching this live or if you're watching this after the fact. And please make sure you share and like the video if you are watching after the fact and you're not here live. I want to know what you thought about the scrimmage. I want your take as well, because I try to include you guys as much as I can. Paul says, I do think NC State's going to be hard to stop. I hope they are. It was good to see you on Saturday. Oh, yeah, Grant. Okay, yeah. I ran into a few of you, or 2 or 3 of you guys. It was nice to see you guys. There was someone, I felt really bad. Someone said, hey, Ty, and I just walked right by him. I was like, hey, and I just kept going. I felt bad. Sometimes I'm in a hurry to get somewhere, and I don't want you guys to think I'm some giant asshole. I'm not, I promise. I try to stop and talk to anybody that wants to talk. All right. This was my take. This is my take on the scrimmage. Number one, I think the thing that stood out was we got a taste of what this offense can be early. Early, we got a pretty good taste, right? Why? Taylon Green starts off 3 for 3 with a nice little throw. It was a 24-yard throw to Luke Haas. 3 for 3. I think it was like 60 yards and a touchdown. You're seeing what we were seeing in practice, but then after that, he really struggles. Taylon Green, and I have him down here for 10 of 23 for 160 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Should have been 2 picks, but he had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I have him at 6 carries for 28 yards or 28-plus yards. I don't know, somewhere between 28 and 32. Taylon Green looked the part early on, and then the defense clearly, I mean, they adjusted well. And the thing that sometimes gets lost when we're talking about what we're seeing in a scrimmage, and I try to remind you guys of this as much as I can, they've seen each other throughout practice. I mean, this was practice, number 8? They've seen each other. They know by now what Taylon Green, what his tendencies are. The coaches know, the players know, the GAs know, right? Everyone knows kind of what their tendencies are. They kind of run some of the same cookie-cutter plays. We got to see a number of rollouts from all the quarterbacks. Taylon Green can be very fast when he wants to really take off. If I'm going to be real with you, it felt to me like they were more concerned about polishing Taylon Green's passing game more so than what he can do with his feet. I mean, my God, he threw the ball 23 times. I don't have his total stat, how many times he was on the field, his total plays played, but he only carried the ball 6 times. 6 times. And we didn't really, and they're not going to tackle him to the ground. God help them if they do. Oh, could you imagine Petrino? It may not be Petrino of 2010, and then you're probably going to get Sam Pittman up your ass too. Oh, brutal. But you can't bring the quarterback to the ground. That's why they wear the green or black jerseys. You can't, the black jerseys. It's why you can't tackle him to the ground. But I do think they're holding him back in terms of like what he can do in the run game. I think it's clear, and I've noticed this a little bit more and more lately. They're trying to polish the passing game off a little bit with Taylon Green. My concern is that he might really be Matt Jones 2.0. And in this day and age, I don't know that that's a good thing, especially in a Petrino-coached offense. It's great that he could run, but can he throw? Matt Jones showed a few times he can actually throw the ball, but we know why he was drafted in the NFL, why he was a first-round pick. He was 6'6", 242, and he ran a 4.37 40. That's why he was drafted to play wide receiver. Even on his best day, he's not a third-string quarterback in the NFL. Taylon Green, it's again, I think the pass game is the thing they want to edge out, or they want to polish off with him. 10 of 23 is not how you should end the day, especially when you start off on fire like you did. He didn't look super great. Malachi impressed me. And it makes you wonder, now that we've had our first open scrimmage, can Malachi now push? Can Malachi Singleton push Taylon Green? Because I think it's clear, well, I shouldn't say that because lately Criswell's worked with the twos. It certainly seemed pretty clear that Malachi was the guy at QB2. And I'm going to tell you, Criswell moving up to the twos has nothing to do with Malachi looking bad. It's just that Criswell's come along. He always starts off spring camp. Last year he started off a little slow. This year he started off a little slow. Now he's catching up. He's starting to look a little bit better. He would end up going 8 of 15, however. But Malachi looked the part. He did scramble a little bit more, 8 carries, 18 yards. He could take off and he could run. He is like a running back. I've been saying this since they've been recruiting this kid. He runs like a back. He looks like a running back. And I'm not just talking about his stature. And I hate that we're getting hung up on talking about quarterbacks running the ball. I hate that we're getting hung up on that. But that is something that stands out a little bit. They are willing to run these guys, but I'd love to see each of them get just 4 plays to go full speed, and you're allowed to – I know some of you are going to be like, why would you do this? Listen, they used to do it all the time. Even in as early as the 90s, they used to do this where they still tackle the quarterback to the ground just to see these guys take off. Just do it 4 times with each quarterback. I know it's probably really a bad idea because, you're going to mess around, get somebody hurt. But you'd rather do that in spring than in fall, right? You got a little bit of time. I'd love to just see them because it does feel like they're pulling back the reins a little bit because they don't want to get these quarterbacks hurt. But again, Malachi, who's 11 of 15, I have him at just over 100 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. There was one play, I don't remember who broke it up, and I didn't catch his number. There's one play, though, it probably could have been a pick of his 15 throws. But, yeah, 11 of 15. Jacoby, 8 of 15. I have him just at 61 yards, 2 carries for -1. KJ Jackson, yeah, his name's KJ. And at times he reminds me of KJ. The way he runs, kind of carries himself. It kind of reminds me a little bit of KJ Jefferson. Just taller. I don't know that he's the bulldozer that KJ Jefferson was. He went 8 of 11 for 72 yards. Didn't get anywhere with his feet. But again, we don't know because they're not tackling these guys to the ground. I get it. You want to be safe. That's standard protocol now for like 25 years. I get it. I just want to see these guys let off the leash. But Taylon Green's passing game, not super great. Started off really well. Ended up just not looking real polished. And again, not all of it was on him. Some of it was DBs making really good plays, dropped passes. I think Dozier had at least 2 drops. I think he's still got a little ways to go. I think he's got a pretty good ceiling. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I think he's got a pretty good ceiling. Could be someone down the road that really helps out, hopefully at Arkansas. Running backs I have – now, I don't know if Dubinion ended up with 15 carries, but I have him just under 70 yards at 68 yards. I think he had 15 for 68. Jaquindon Jackson ended up with 9 carries, 40 yards. He did have a touchdown. He also caught the ball for 3 yards. Braylon Russell, 7 carries, couple less carries than Jackson. As many yards, though. 7 carries for I have him at 38, but okay, rounded up to, I think he was probably close to 40. With a rushing touchdown. He had 4. I have him down, and I don't know. I probably should check with somebody. I have him down for 4 for 35 yards in the receiving game. Augustive carried the ball 10 times for just 26 yards. Augustive has fallen back in the depth chart, I think. But he did end up with 10 carries, which was the second most. But I kind of wonder where he's gonna fall. I feel like I'm seeing less and less of him in practice. Now, obviously, we saw him with 10 carries. You guys got a little taste of Tyrone Broden with that nice catch that he had. He ended up with just 2 catches, 34 yards. But They were really paying attention to him. I'll just say that. Broden was someone that I think the secondary keyed in on. They know how dangerous he's been in camp throughout practice. Centennia doesn't matter, baby. Doesn't matter. 5 catches, 80, what do I have him at? 86, 80-something yards for a touchdown. Luke has just 2 catches, 40 yards with a touchdown. Let's see here. C.J. Brown, freshman, 4 grabs, almost 40 yards. Jordan Anthony, I keep getting asked about him. I know the track speed and everything. I have him at 2 grabs for 15 yards, but I think that might be wrong. Varkey's Gums had at least 4 catches, close to 50 yards, and Desmond James had 2 for 13. Now, overall, the offense, if you're going to ask me to grade them in a scrimmage, it's kind of hard to do because I didn't catch every single play. I had to kind of ask some of the other media guys who got what play and who did this. So I did miss out on a couple, at least probably 3 or 4 plays on the offense in the scrimmage. It's hard to grade on a scrimmage, but I'd probably say the passing game with Taylon Green, maybe like a C- or a D+. Overall, that first drive, that pass, and by the way, that throw to Haz that he made was in double coverage. I'm not in love with the 2 touchdown, 1 interception ratio. I'm not in love. I do think his rushing yards would have been higher if they were bringing him to the ground. I also think there were a couple of sacks that weren't really counted because the quarterback ran out of the pocket and it looked like maybe he got past the line of scrimmage and they touched him. You can't tackle him, but they touch him, and they didn't count it as a sack, but they counted it. And it wasn't just against Green, by the way. I'm talking about all the quarterbacks. They would just count it as like as a run for maybe a yard or whatever. It looked like that probably happened at least 1 or 2 other times. The passing game for Green it's tough to grade out. I'd probably put him in about C- because he did start off really good. Malachi is a little bit different story. I liked his choices. Who he was throwing to, when he was it looked like the timing was there. He just looked like he was in sync with that offense, and he ended up having the numbers to kind of back it up. Again, 11 of 15. I'd have to give him strong like B+. Criswell probably about a C+, 8 of 15, 57 yards. Holds on to the ball way too much for me throughout practice. But when he is on, he looks like QB1. When he's feeling it, this dude, he is I think he would be a capable starting quarterback somewhere. Maybe, I don't know about in the SEC, but somewhere I think he'd be a pretty capable quarterback. KJ Jackson, I thought he looked okay in the passing game. I'd probably give him about a B- or C+. We also have to remember we're talking about 1s and 2s and 3s and who they're up against, but you often have to consider who their weapons are. But for Taylon Green, I was not shocked that his numbers were above or were below 50% completion. Wasn't shocked, right? And like I said, you have to keep into consideration these guys know each other. They know the offense. The offense knows the defense too. That's true, but like sometimes that's just going to favor the defense because they know what a quarterback's doing. I've also seen guys, and I heard another media guy, I don't know who it was. They said the same thing. I was thinking it, and they said it out loud. Green tends to stare down his targets a little bit. Not all the time. There was one play, I think he was looking for Centennia over the middle. You see him, he's reading Centennia in his eyes. You could see his helmet. He's going with Centennia. DBs and linebackers crunch down on Centennia, so then he's got to now move out of that target. He's got to look elsewhere. And he ended up, I think, rolling out of the pocket and not getting much of a gain. So there's just a lot of things they're going to have to work on. We got a long ways to go. We still got 2 more scrimmages that you guys and myself, we're going to all have an opportunity to watch together. Okay, run game, I thought the 2s and 3s got their asses whooped. Talking about the defensive line. The offensive line. I thought the offensive line at times just really struggled. I really liked what I saw even out of Jackson with the 1s. I thought Jackson looked pretty good. He had at least a sack. Hang on, I have those numbers somewhere. Hang on. So I have Xavion Story with 10 tackles, Cam Ball with 8, Carson Dean at 7, TJ Metcalf at 9, Miguel Mitchell at 4, Brad Spence I have at 7 tackles, Nico Davier with 5, and I'm pretty sure I have him down for a pass rush. But yeah, I thought the defensive line throughout most of this game did a pretty good job. The secondary, Jalen Braxton stood out. He's hard to shake, man. Braxton's hard to shake. Danico Slaughter, I have down for 4 tackles. Selman Bridges, you know that name, freshman, he had 3 tackles. Kyvie Rose, I have down as a QB hurry, possible sack. Quincy Rhodes, who just a big dude, I mean a monster. I have down at 1 tackle and a fumble recovery. Caleb James, I have down for a sack, 2 tackles, and another TFL. But Jukic had a couple of plays. They are back-to-back. I don't know who was running the ball. I want to say it was Jackson was running the ball. And Junkaj blew the play up in the backfield. And then the very next play, he gets a sack. I thought it was a sack. They counted it as a TFL. It should have been a sack. He touched the quarterback. It would have been a sack. So Anton's coming along. And it's good to see. It's good to see. Cam Ball, 7 tackles. I think he had at least a sack, a fumble recovery. Landon Jackson had a sack and a forced fumble. I think the defense overall probably won the day. If you had to ask me, I would say the defense, I don't know, it's going to differ. I asked 2 other media guys, and they each said something different. So, to each their own. But I thought the defensive line, Nico Davier clearly going to be the one, unless if the Albany transfer can continue to look like he did Saturday throughout all of practice, they're going to be in pretty good shape at that spot. Yeah, Braxton. Hudson Clark had an interception. Now it was an overthrown ball by Green. Forgive me, I might be mixing up some of these numbers. So don't take these numbers to heart. I might have names swapped around. In some of these stats, I had to rely on some other people around me a little bit just to get their take on what happened. But I also set up in the stands behind Otis Kirk and those guys. But I was also talking to some people on the sidelines a little bit here and there, just kind of getting their take on just what they were seeing, not just in the scrimmage, but even before the scrimmage. But J.M. Singletary, I saw him. He damn near had an interception. He had 3 tackles and a pass breakup. So I thought the defense overall, I'll just say this, really, they looked better than I thought they would. I really thought that this first open scrimmage, they know there's fans in the stands. They know the media's there. They know it's kind of a big deal to them, right? Even though it's not the official red-white scrimmage, it's their first opportunity for the public to see them. They know they're going to be filmed. I kind of thought the offense I thought it would be their day. And it wasn't. I kind of felt like the defense led the way. Not to say, again, that the offense didn't have some really good moments. Again, I was really impressed. Braylon Russell, again, 42 yards on 7 carries and a rushing touchdown. He also caught the ball 4 times. It's good to see that. Hopefully the wheel route, that's what he's going to be doing. We're going to see him on the wheel route. I have some notes here too. Let's see. Green threw a 26-yard pass to Centennia, plus a 34-yarder to a touchdown to Centennia. Jackson shed a tackle on an 8-yard touchdown. Let's see. I have Isaiah Gustave on a 22-yard run for 6. Broden caught the 30-yard throw. I think that was Green that threw that to him. And then, of course, the Hudson Clark pick off of Green. Jacoby had a nice 23-yard pass. I think that was to C.J. Brown. I'm almost positive that was C.J. Brown. So, again, there were some moments that kind of stood out. There was another time when, Russell, it looked like, he's got those tree trunk thighs. He runs how he looks, if that makes any sense. Very, very hard that the first guy that gets to him is going to bring him down. And for a freshman, it's pretty nice. There are times, too, when the shoulder pad level isn't down more. There are times when the shoulder pads need to come down a little bit. But, that's going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think they ran – I have them at 149 plays, but I think it was actually closer to 153. But not much other than I thought the defense kind of won the day. We'll see what they do next weekend on Saturday. Again, it's going to be a little bit later in the day. That's going to matter. They're doing it a little bit later. Again, this says 10 – my email says 10 25 for practice viewing on Saturday. So, again, if you're going, that's where I'm at with it. Let's put an end to this poll here, huh? 63% of you got UConn. I have to agree with you. I think UConn. I gotta agree. I think it's UConn. A Camo Gang says Singleton all day. Green will be damaged goods by A&M. Maybe. Michael Kerper. Paul says I really like Malachi. I got a take that's not as hot, but for Malachi to have been an Elite 11 quarterback and to be learning from and in a pro-style system has really developed him better than what I think KB would have. Oh, okay. So you're saying Kendall Brown. Okay. Hey, what's up, Jeremy Gray? Ty just joined. Have you seen where Muss knew nothing about that X video released? Have we heard that from Muss himself, Jeremy? Because I have such a hard time. I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I know that's being thrown out there. I just have such a hard time seeing Hunter Yurchek do something so reckless. That's reckless. If Hunter put that out before knowing Eric Musselman was going to sign any kind of an extension, I don't know. Some people are saying the video was reused. I don't know. I don't know. All right? But if that is the case, that is not a good look for your athletic director to do that. Now, maybe there was communication. I'm always going to give, especially Hunter, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to always give Hunter Yurchek the benefit of the doubt. I have a hard time seeing him do something like that. That just seems so reckless. Maybe it worked out like this. Maybe Hunter Yurchek got a hold of Muss's agent, and they were like, yeah, no, we're good. We're coming back. Again, this is just me speculating. I have no idea. We're coming back. It's up to you. The ball's in your court, what you want to do as far as putting it out there, but we are coming back. And so maybe he didn't get with Muss and just said, you know what, I've got this old copy that we recorded, this thing that we did when you signed your extension a little while back that we didn't use. Maybe because, he did say, you're still here. I mean, you've seen the video. And he just put that out there and just assumed that Musselman knew, or maybe Hunter Yurchek did say something to the agent and the agent didn't get it to Musselman. I don't know. We could sit here and talk about the things I don't agree with, like the NIL, how they're behind in the NIL. We could sit here and talk about that. But for him to do something where he's just putting out a video without any word from us, whether or not he is for sure coming back or whatever the case may be, whatever is being put out there. I've seen some of the names that are putting that stuff out there, and I got to say some of them are pretty reputable. Some of them are. Not all of them, but some of them are. But it's just like with the whole Musselman going to Louisville thing. I said I just think that's unlikely. I don't think Louisville right now in the last, 5-6 years, that's the job that Arkansas is. Arkansas has done a pretty good job out of the transfer portal. We know that has something to do with NIL. I just have a hard time seeing Louisville being that big of it's not a leap as far as I'm concerned. It's not a step up. I kind of feel the same way here about the Hunter Yurchek putting out a video without Musselman's knowledge. Maybe, again, it was just he got with the agent, with Muss's agent, and maybe the agent just didn't say anything to Muss. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever know. I would love for Musselman to come out and say, yeah, no, I knew everything about it. Or the other way, no, I didn't know anything about it, but we resolved it. It's not a big deal. We're moving on. A little clarity. Never hurt anybody. But, I guess it can. Kopesky's burner entered the chat. No, I think Jeremy Gray is – I'm pretty sure – I don't think that's a Kopesky burner. I haven't seen much on football. Been busy. How we looking at O-line and quarterback? Now, see, the starting O-line I didn't think was that bad. Outside of maybe Landon Jackson and Cam Ball kind of having their way up front, and that's to be expected. You're talking about two all-conference caliber. At least Landon Jackson we know is an all-conference, maybe even all-American, possible first-round draft prospect. He's going to have some plays, right? Cam Ball got a little involved there with the ones. But overall, I thought the starting offensive line wasn't that bad. I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that next weekend for sure when we get to see the next scrimmage. Philip, I have no idea, man. I don't keep up with the agent carousel. I have no idea. Maybe he did quit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. To me, Malachi has the athleticism. I just feel it's the middle part of his game. We should have Kiffin and be where they're at. Don't what? Cam, I think you're a pretty nice guy, but sometimes you're hard to read. I don't know if you need to start using /Sark. You know, I don't ever know what the hell it is you're trying to. What are you talking about? Don't what? Who are you talking? Are you talking to me? What are you talking about? Let's see. Scrolling up here. Green does not look like Matt Jones' great arm. Grant. What? Now listen, I wasn't saying he was Matt Jones. Let me be clear. Matt Jones had a tendency. I mean, they ran the ball a lot with him, right? I mean, they used him out of the option. And he was also, if he did throw, he had a tendency to just take off and run because he could. Receivers at the time had a hard time getting open. They didn't have world beater receivers when Matt was here. And he also just wasn't a proven quarterback. That was the point I'm making. I'm not saying Green is Matt Jones, so slow down, Grant. Slow down, bro. I'm not saying that. Okay. Well, I thought I was going to read another question there. All right. Well, so I think that pretty much wraps everything up. We got a neat little we got to see them on Saturday, and it was about what I expected, but some of it not so much. I'm trying to double check my numbers here on that scrimmage. There's something I wanted to bring up. Yeah, good start for Green. Did not end up great. I thought what little we got to see of him looked really good. Centennia, of course, looked really good. If you wanted me to grade the receivers, Centennia comes out on top, right? I mean, you know, they had a couple of guys out. They didn't have Andrew Armstrong and Jaden Wilson were out. And Centennia kind of stood his ground. He had 5 grabs, again, north of 80 yards. Caught that 33-yard pass from Green. And I thought the defensive line, I thought they looked pretty good, especially, you know, it's good to see Quincy Rhodes getting involved, you know. So the other thing, too, I think we're starting to get a pretty good idea of what's going on at running back. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that next week. So, yeah, again, make sure you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Tusk Talk with Ty Patreon. Okay, do that. Go support the channel. Local, small, independent, doing my thing here, holding it down. He is a lot like Matt Jones. He has a good arm, says Grant. Well, I mean, again, he is similar in that he could take off and run, and he could burn some folks. He can. He's fast. When he lets loose and they let him run. Now, when they do that, he's not always full pads, right? And they're obviously not going to tackle him to the ground, but yeah. I mentioned that about Muss's agent to say, could that be why Muss ultimately stayed? Again, I don't know. Matt, you'd have to ask. You'd have to ask. I don't know who would know that. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Yeah, I don't know enough about what's going on with his agent. So, all right, that's it. Remember to make sure you're a part of our Discord. Check out Patreon. You can become a free member, but yeah, you could. There's not much there free. I try to drop a video every now and again for everybody, whether you're a paid member or free. But it's worth just going and checking out. So do that. I will see you guys. I'll be back later on in the week. Of course, we've got 2 practices left this week, and then we've got the scrimmage on Saturday. Let me know if you guys are going. The plan is for me to be there on Saturday as well. I'll be at the red-white scrimmage the following Saturday too. So, all right, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you later on. We'll break down. We'll try to on Friday. We'll try to break down Arkansas and Ole Miss. We know they've got Arkansas State coming up next. That'll be interesting. to hopefully beat up little brother, right? Hopefully. You never know these midweek games. All right, I will see you guys later on. Whoop-pig.